Today, using Skype, we were able to speak with Louis Bélanger. He's a media officer with the aid organisation Oxfam. He's been travelling throughout the country, and we reached him in Jimani, near the Haitian border with the Dominican Republic. You've been into the city today. What is the situation there at the moment?
Well, yeah, what we saw was a pretty grim situation. Lots of bodies on the street that are still there. A lot of people actually hanging out in massive park of Port-au-Prince. Sort of families and neighbors trying to stick together and support one another, awaiting the aid relief.
In practical terms, what specifically do you need from the international community now, in terms both of trying to rescue people who still might be caught and getting help to those who have survived?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think big machinery, so heavy machinery to lift, the rubbles. People are still stuck under them. I've seen sort of 12, 13, 15 stories just completely being flattened. And you need sort of heavy machinery to do that. That's one thing. The other thing is medication. I think a lot of very qualified NGO are already there. There's a lot of doctors that are already there, but there's a lack of medication.
Louis, looking at the lack of water and, of course, the heat in Haiti, as you look to the next 24 hours, are you concerned about health risks, epidemic risks, that kind of thing?
No, we are concerned. And when you see a series of bodies laying around in dumpsters or laying on the street, it's not a pretty scene. It is water is a very important factor. So we need this urgently, and we're ready to go. And hopefully we can do this within the next 36, 48 hours. So we're moving as fast as possible.
Louis, thank you very much for joining us, and good luck with all you're trying to do there.
Thank you.
2 days after disaster struck in Haiti, many have been unable to locate their loved ones and are clinging to any hope of survival. In New York City, where one of the largest Haitian populations outside the country lives, that tension is running especially high. Darlene Cedebros has 5 daughters between the age of 10 and 16 who she left in Haiti in order to provide for them. Now she hasn't been able to reach her girls, and in this first-person account she talks about the anguish of not knowing her family's fate.
As a mother, it was my dream to go out to, find something for them. In America, you can do, you can walk in, and my country is not easy to find a job, and it's not easy to the same way to make money.
This is me. This is Stephanie. This is Stefania. This is she's Taina and she's Shaina. They're twin sisters. They're 4 twin sisters, and this is Yvlanda. This is a barrel.
I send every month. I put food, clothes, cereal, and everything. If you shake it right now, it's a little bit hard because it's almost done. Even I send money every Thursday. I'm still doing my best. Send this for them to make sure they have food to eat right, and they can study school the way they want to. Sometimes I feel lonely because they're not with me, but I expect one day they're gonna be with me. But now, I don't know. When I come home, I put my water to make a cup of tea, and my friend called me. My friend said, "Did you have a news from Haiti?" I said, "No." She said, "Check your TV or check anything or try to reach them because our country is messed up." I said, "What happened?" I take 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, I just spoke to my kids. And everything was fine. What happened now? She said, "Listen, I tried to find my mother, try to find your kids." Since that time, I keep calling.
Due to the earthquake in the area you are calling, your call cannot be completed at this time.
No answer, nobody. And I believe in God, and I hope they're okay. I hope. First of all, I keep blaming myself. I said, even and feel like I'm supposed to be with them. If something happened, I was there. That means, as a mother, I'm gonna handle it with them. Maybe they call me mom. This is very painful. It's very painful.
Darlene Cedarbros there talking in New York about the terrible anguish of trying to get in touch with her family who's still in Haiti.
This is a special edition of BBC World News America, reporting from Port-au-Prince in Haiti. I'm Matt Frei. Desperation turns dangerous in Haiti as hungry, thirsty and increasingly angry citizens try to stay alive 3 days after a shattering earthquake. Some aid is finally getting through to those who need it, as UN and US troops deploy in an effort to keep some of the streets calm. Those who can leave Port-au-Prince are leaving, by plane, by bus and on foot. They may not know where they're going, they just want out. And amid all the agony, a few miracles. A baby boy dug out after days, a woman rescued just as her hope was running out.
We didn't think we were going to make it. So, because people came on Tuesday and said we'll be right back, and nobody came back.
Welcome back to Port-au-Prince. As you can see and hear, we're at the airport for a second night, and there's plenty of activity. 8 flights are coming in. That plane behind me is from the US Coast Guard. There are ships off the coast of Haiti. But here's the problem. Despite the international goodwill and the increasing activity that we're seeing on this runway, so little of that aid is actually getting through to the people who are just beyond this building here. The people of Haiti, the people of Port-au-Prince, who are trying to survive for a 4th night after the earthquake in their capital city, which lies in ruins. There is no functioning government. There are tens of thousands of people either dead or trapped in the ruins of their houses, and about an equal number desperate for some kind of medical attention. Many people, as we discovered today, are trying to leave town. It is a city that smacks of desperation, as I found out myself. Port-au-Prince still has people, more than 2 million of them perhaps, but it has little else, which is why anyone who can is fleeing town. This was the central bus station this morning. People are fighting to get out, back to their villages in the countryside perhaps, but unsure of what they'll find when they get there. Why is everyone leaving?
Because cause that trouble, because they have no place to stay for in Port-au-Prince right now, because they are going in their country to fight medicament, people get sick.
They're going back to their villages. Yeah.
And they move back. That's why they are leaving, because the problem.
Are you going to stay or leave?
No, I'm going to leaving very soon.
You can see his point. We went on our own tour of the capital this morning, and what we found was a city and a people left to their own meager resources. This was the central business district, with their houses destroyed, crumbling or cracked. Everyone has spilled onto the streets. People are constantly on the move. Activity is frenetic, if often futile. Everyone is trying to get food, water, shelter. Those who can't move end up here at the general hospital. The wards are full if they haven't been destroyed, and so the patients have been left out in the open. Delphine tries to keep the flies away from her stump. She lost her left foot when her home collapsed. It has now turned gangrenous. Est-ce qu'il y avait des médecins qui sont venus pour vous aider, quelqu'un? Did she have any medical attention from anyone since coming here Tuesday night? No is the answer here. And here. And here. We spent an hour at the hospital, and in that time we saw not a single nurse or doctor. Life is slowly draining away from these people. In many cases, it has stopped to drain. The still alive and the already dead share the precious shade in this field hospital of horrors. So meet the citizen surgeons of Haiti, trying to keep their relatives alive. Not surprisingly, insanity is finding its voice. Outside, our tour continues. There is some evidence of looting now, and the police is getting twitchy, fully prepared for the worst in a country that has seen too much of it over the years.
Il y a des gens qui laissent la capitale pour aller.
Il y a beaucoup de policiers qui ont été tués, qui sont morts. Maintenant, on est dans la rue, on essaie de prendre la situation.
So what he's just been telling me is that a lot of the policemen have died, and there are quite a few armed gangs around which they're worried about, which is what they're trying to look out for here. So what about the authorities, the organs of state? This was the Supreme Court. This, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We've gone to see what's left of the government district and so have they. It's a familiar scene anywhere. Crowds gathering to see the residence of their president. This here is, or rather was, the White House of Haiti. The president survived. He's taken up residence at the airport, but his government has ceased to function. This was the Senate building. Anyone can go in, so we did, and made a grim discovery. Corpses of Senate staffers in body bags, waiting to be noticed. At the end of the road, the remains of the cathedral. The Archbishop's palace has become the Archbishop's tomb. His body is inside, and the rescue workers, the only ones we've seen all day, think that 2 people are still alive, 3 floors down. So this is it, what was once perhaps the most beautiful building in Haiti, Our Lady of the Assumption, the main cathedral here in the capital. It's over a century old. It took over 30 years to build, but just 30 seconds to destroy. Across the road, we found this. Some aid is getting through from the airport to the streets. We found this bread line, heavily policed by UN soldiers from Bolivia. But will desperation turn into violence, and when? It is another question to add to the long list of unknowns here. Help is arriving at the airport. There is no shortage of goodwill from the international community. But what the second oldest republic in the Western Hemisphere needs is to be rebuilt from scratch. And Kati, as you can see, there are people being evacuated right now from the airport, mainly children, but also entire families who are lucky enough to get on that flight from the US Coast Guard, I think flying to Miami. The problem, though, is that the people you can see here who've drawn that lucky ticket are a tiny, tiny minority compared to the tens of thousands of people in the city of Port-au-Prince and elsewhere in this country who literally have nowhere to go.
Matt, you've been travelling round the city all day now. If you had to rank the priorities for those people who are being left behind, what would it be?
Well, I think if you're left behind here in Haiti, you just have to hope and pray that some of that aid that's arrived here is going to get to you, because that's the only help you're going to get. There is very little running water, there is very little electricity, there is very little food, there are virtually no medical supplies. I mean, in that hospital that you saw in my piece, the only medicine that we saw people take, apart from a few drips of morphine and a few saline drips, was orange juice or a bit of water, if they were lucky. I mean, these are really terrible conditions. So if you're in that state and you can't go from there, you have literally a couple of hours, a couple of days rather, before things get really, really desperate for you. And we saw people dying in front of our eyes there. Now, hopefully, all that you can see here will change that reality on the ground soon. But time really is running out.
There are incidents, as we've seen, of some looting already. The big fear must be that that could lead to more general unrest. What are people there saying about that? What's your sense of that possibility?
Well, Cathy, that's sort of what everyone was expecting here because of this nation's history of violence. To be honest, personally, I only saw one incident of looting today. I saw a couple of policemen firing their guns into the air for warning shots. But nothing, for instance, on the scale of what I saw after Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. This is a much more stable security situation, quite frankly. However, what everyone is wondering is when do you get that tipping point? When the kind of chemical reaction of desperation and of this mass of people that are converging constantly on the streets or on the open spaces of this city, quite a few of which have guns that they're not supposed to have, suddenly say enough is enough, and the roadblocks go up, the guns come out, and the shooting starts. It wouldn't be the first time that's happened. Remember, since the creation of an independent Haitian Republic in 1804, the number of leaders of this country who have died quietly in their beds can be counted on the fingers of one hand. There is a real tradition of violence here, which we haven't seen yet, but it may still come to the forefront.
Okay, Matt Frei there in Port-au-Prince for the moment. Thank you very much. And we will have much more from Matt there in Haiti later on, of course, in the programme. Well, as you've just heard, the situation in Port-au-Prince is dire and hope is running out for many. The BBC's Matthew Price was also out in the capital today, and he filed this report on the death and the despair which has now become so widespread.